your camera doesn't matter until it does. I get people asking me a lot about what camera they should buy for a first camera, or if they're getting into photography, what camera should they buy? What's going to be the easiest to learn on? And I usually have the same question that I ask everyone is, what is it that you actually want to learn about photography? Do you want to learn how to take better photos? Do you want to learn the how? Or do you just want a camera that takes good photos? Because those are two very different things. And sometimes people just want a camera that takes nice photos. And I say, honestly, anything you buy out there that's new right now is probably going to do what you need it to do. There are some different, creature comforts to different cameras right now that some people may value over others. But for the most part, image quality is the best it's ever been in most cameras. Some people will nitpick and tell you some things aren't that great in comparison, but in reality, for most people, your phone is the best camera that you can typically get right now. So when people want to step out of using their phone and they want to learn about photography, I always tell them the same thing. Don't look at anything new. If you are getting into photography and you don't want to make a big investment, look, if you've got lots of money to throw at a camera and are absolutely comfortable doing that, yeah, fine. Anything you buy, you'll be able to learn on. But when people are coming and they've got a budget and they want to learn and they want to get better, they want to learn the how, the only thing I tell them that your camera needs to be able to do first is shoot in manual. You need to be able to change your ISO, your aperture, and your shutter speed. That's it. The basis of all photography is within those three main settings. It's how sensitive your camera is to light, how much light passes through the lens, and how quickly the camera actually exposes that sensor to that light, or the duration of time at which it does it. As you learn to control those three settings, you're going to then start to run into the limitations of what that camera has. So for instance, if you have an old Canon Rebel with the kit lens, an 18-55, usually 3.5 to 5.6 aperture lens, let's say you want to start shooting these really shallow depth of field images, that's where you're going to start running into limitations. But then you just grab a nifty 50. You grabbed a 50 millimeter 1.8, throw it on that bad boy, start shooting at 1.8, and you're going to see a massive difference in your images. You want to start shooting some longer lens stuff? Get a longer lens. Go for a 70 to 200 2.8. You want to start shooting some wildlife? Grab a 300 f2, or I don't even know if that's a lens. I don't really shoot with long lenses that much. Look, when I learned photography, I started back in the early 2000s, I think 2002 roughly. I borrowed my girlfriend's film camera at the time. And then I borrowed my friend's, I believe it was a Canon PowerShot S1 IS, which is a 4 megapixel. It had a attached lens, so it wasn't even a DSLR. It was a PowerShot, but it could shoot manual. So I started playing with doing long exposures at night. And some of the first images that I was crafting, because I started to understand how doing long exposures at night could affect an image, I would take a 30-second exposure and then I'd go stand in the spot halfway through, so I'd have a ghostly presence. I'm 17 at the time, and I'm just getting into learning this. That's how I learned. I learned on an old film camera and an old PowerShot. Those gave me enough of a basis for me to kind of decide, all right, I want to do more with this. And then I went to photography school. And that's a whole other discussion, and I can make a video about whether or not it's worth attending photography school, because I have thoughts, I have opinions, and we can get into that. But in school, we shot on film. We shot medium format with a Mamiya 645 AFD2, I believe. And when we wanted to shoot digital on those, we used the Leaf Aptus digital backs. I believe the price of those when they were first out were around $25,000 to $30,000 because they were digital backs that could attach to the 645 camera. They were 17 megapixels. 17 for $30,000 or $25,000 $8,000. Absolutely insane pricing. You know, it was a 17 megapixel medium format-ish camera, and that was it. Those were the features. I could shoot manual and I could shoot it digitally. I didn't have optical image stabilization, no insane AF auto tracking stuff, no burst mode of, 20 frames a second. It was pure craft of shooting in manual and learning how to actually make your images. My first camera out of school was a Nikon D200, a 10 megapixel crop sensor camera. I believe it was a 1.5 crop on that. It was the DX format, but it was a 10 megapixel. And that's what I started working with in 2006. My first jobs were shooting with a Nikon D200. And I was getting work, and the work was enough. The image quality was fantastic for the time. Now, granted, has image quality gotten better? Yes. Sensor technologies have gotten way better. I currently shoot with a Fujifilm GFX 50S2. There are features in this camera that I don't really use. They're constantly evolving cameras. And, the megapixel race is kind of over. There are new cameras that are coming out that are 24 to 25 megapixels, but they're loaded with tons of video features. They're loaded with tons of different image stabilization, and ways to make the actual raw image quality better, wider dynamic ranges. But at its core, those are not things that are going to help you learn photography. Once you've learned photography, are they tools and comforts that will help you get better images down the road? Absolutely. My point is, when you are learning, the only thing you need to learn is your aperture, your ISO, and your shutter speed, your exposure triangle, and how each one of those settings affects the other. That's where you start. And none of the other crap that goes on in a camera is going to help you do that. There are people who say that your first 10,000 images are practice. It's even more than that. I've been in this career almost 20 years. I'm probably in the millions now, and I'm still practicing. I'm still doing what I can to be a better photographer on the next image. I'm always trying to make my next image my best one. It's not something that you're going to learn and then have it and then just continue on always just being that good. You're always going to be progressing. You're always going to be getting better. So when you are learning, it doesn't matter what camera you buy. As long as you can shoot manual, that's how you start. That's how you get rolling. Go to eBay. Go to Facebook Marketplace. Look for a Canon Rebel. Look for something. Someone is bound to have a kit where they've got a camera and a couple of lenses with a 50 mil in there. And just go practice. Go shoot. Go throw it in manual and see what it takes to get images to come through. Take the same picture over and over again at different settings and figure out what different settings do to each other. Watch some YouTube videos, learn about your exposure triangle. And as you start to get better, you will then start to learn what features you really need and what things you absolutely can't live without in future camera purchases. So learn the basics of photography first. You can do that on just about any camera. And then you can get into figuring out whether you need that long lens or you want super wide, you want a fisheye, you want to do night stuff, you want to do landscapes, wildlife, portraits. Those are all shot using the same three settings, ISO, aperture, and shutter speed. If you stuck around to the end of the video, thank you very much. I just winged it. I had no script. I didn't even make notes for myself anywhere. I just kind of wanted to turn it on, start shooting. I'm trying a different setup with this video. I'm using my iPhone, recording the audio separately, just so I can have a very quick to go setup and just make videos when I think about them. So thank you. I'm planning on making a lot more videos, so feel free to subscribe, like the video, and I will see you in the next one.